What's the worst date you've ever been on? I once went on a blind date with a lady to a restaurant, and she would not stop picking at her scabs. She slowly made a pile of them on the table next to her plate. I went to the bathroom, and when I came back, my bowl of soup had been delivered, but the pile of scabs was gone. No way in hell I was eating that soup. A few years ago, my roommate set me up with a guy she knew. When we met, he was irritated because I wore heels that made him less taller than me. They didn't make me taller than him, just less taller than he would have been. Dinner was okay, but we didn't have much in common. After dinner, we met my roommate and her boyfriend at a house party. I basically knew nobody. At the party, my date's ex-girlfriend approaches, calls me a whore, spills my drink on me, threatens to fight me, says that she gave my date herpes, and leaves. An hour later, she comes back, gives me a hug, grabs my ass, apologizes, and tells me I'm hot. My cousin worked at a coffee shop, and this hot guy, Vince, started coming in and flirting with her. After a couple weeks, he asked her out on a date. About 5 hours after the date started, she calls me hysterical. I can't understand a word. All I can make out is, "I'm at the hospital. My car is parked at blah, 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 blah address. Please go get it and pick me up." So my boyfriend and I go get her car, drop it off at her house, and pick up the homies because it sounds like someone needs an ass kicking. We get to the hospital, and she's sitting on a bench, trembling. She looks destroyed, jumps in the car, and screams, "Drive!" I'm mad as fuck, so I yell, "Are you Vince?" He's about to cry and says, "Don't be mad. Let me explain." My cousin yells, "Just go." I ask if Vince heard her, and she says, "No, I'll tell you at home." We get home, and I put her to bed. Every time she tries to explain what happened, she breaks down crying again. They decided to rent a movie from Blockbuster. Yes, that's how long ago this happened. She said she didn't feel good, and the next thing she remembers is waking up on the floor. Vince told her she passed out and hit her head. She said he was begging her to go to the hospital, but she refused multiple times. She fell asleep, but woke up abruptly feeling dizzy, asking where the bathroom was. Before she could make it, she throws up all over his floor, all over him, and shits her pants. She starts crying, and he carries her to the bathroom. Before she can get to the toilet, she shits like a parrot all over the walls. He closes the door and gives her some clean clothes. She decided to go to the hospital, and shortly after that, I received her call. The whole time she's telling me this, I'm laughing my ass off. I am dying, all while rubbing her head and helping her sip her tea. She ended up marrying Vince, and we love telling this story on their anniversary. I met a guy on a dating site. He was pretty nice, but just wouldn't stop talking. After interrupting me several times, I finally said to him, "Are you interested in anything I have to say?" He apologized and whips out a pen and notepad. He starts scribbling notes as I'm telling him about my family, job, and whatnot. I finally ask, "What are you writing?" He says, "Oh, I'm writing down things I want to tell you when it's my turn to talk again." I met a girl on OkCupid. It was late one night, and she asked me to meet up for dinner at a local diner. Based on her profile pic, I knew I wasn't meeting up with a looker. But when she arrived, she was nothing like her photo. She was 5'2", 210 pounds, which isn't bad on its own, but she was, how do I put this, toad-like. And even that would have been okay, but she also brought her friend, who was 16, and we were in our 20s. Worse, this 16-year-old brought her toddler and another friend. So here I am with 3 girls I've never met and a toddler. All 3 girls brought energy drinks to the restaurant and are chugging away at the table. The toddler ran out of juice in her sippy cup, so the mom filled it with energy drink. What the fuck? So then they let the toddler play with the sugar dispenser, spilling sugar all over the table, and then proceeded to lick it off the table. All the girls are laughing, and of course the toddler is living her best life. They're only talking to each other and ignoring me. After about 10 minutes, they just start talking about dudes from high school. I barely touch my food, got up, apologized to the waiter, gave him $50, and got the hell out of there. When I was 16, I was an angsty atheist into punk rock. Some dude in my religion class asked me if I wanted to go to a local rock show with him. This rock show turned out to be a church youth group that had a Christian rock band. Preparing for a night of rocking, I showed up in my fishnet stockings, combat boots, and leather jacket. It was extremely awkward. After talking to a girl for a few weeks, we decided to meet up. She's really attractive, super fun, and we had a lot of things in common. Throughout the date, she keeps checking her phone, annoyed. She finally apologizes and tells me that some creep stalker won't leave her alone. She calls the guy and says, "Stop contacting me or I'll call the cops." The date went well, and she said she had a good time and wanted to do it again soon. Before she gets into her car, she pulls me in for a long kiss and says, "Call me." A couple days later, I call, and she doesn't answer. Text? No answer. Another 2 days, I call, and she answers, "Stop contacting me, or I'll call the cops." Fucking psycho. I went on a date with a guy from Tinder. He seemed pretty normal. Nothing weird came up. We texted and talked on the phone and decided to meet at a restaurant. He was cute, but super bitter about something in his life. Wherever he was from, it must have been more sexually liberal than here because he started talking about sex and blowjobs and complaining about how uptight everyone here is. He invited the waitress to a company party after sending the fries back. I show him a picture of my dog on my phone. He took out his phone and showed me a picture of his penis. After the date, we walk out of the restaurant together and the valet brings my car. He texted me later saying I dropped my sweater, and if I wanted to see it again, I'd have to hang out with him. Rest in peace, sweater. I met this cute blondie, and we made each other laugh and chat online. We met up at a local bar. We go upstairs to talk, and it's kind of awkward, but gets better. She had a dark sense of humor, joking about bodies on the side of the road. Everything is going fine. She's flirting, touching me playfully, seems normal and easy. Suddenly, without anything weird happening, she gets up and quickly walks away. What did I miss? What did I do? She hightails it to the door, never looking back. I catch up to her and say, "Hold on, wait a minute." She turns and looks at me as if we're strangers and says, "Yes?" I was like, that was real sudden. I just wanted to say goodbye." She says, "Why?" Then proceeds to shake my hand and bolts. I watched her walk away and tried to retrace my steps, but nothing made sense. Based on how she reacted, I must have done something wrong, but couldn't figure it out. It made me feel real shitty. When I get out of my own head, I realize there's a huge crowd of people outside of the bar, all looking at me, joking and laughing. Finally, one dude shouts at me, "Damn, Don Juan, you really fucked that up. Look at that bitch go." What the hell? This is the most confused I've ever been in my life. I just walked away. As I'm walking, the same guy yells, "Oh shit, I must have hurt his feelings." I think a lot about this when I'm in the shower. I met a girl at a local bar for drinks, and we ordered chicken strips. The conversation is pretty bad, and I notice she's tearing the breading off the chicken strips and putting it into her huge purse. I ask her what the hell she's doing, and she says, "Oh, I'm just feeding Jimmy," and whipped out a chubby chinchilla. She plops the little guy into the middle of the table, and it just kind of sat there. I played with it a little bit, which seemed to make the girl mad, so she put it back into her bag. I would have been okay if the date ended there, but she said she wanted some ice cream and asked if I wanted to go with. So we head to the nearby ice cream shop and get to talking about piercings and tattoos. She says, "You know I have nipple piercings." I responded somewhat surprised and say, "Oh." She then pulls down her shirt and shows me her nipples in the middle of an ice cream shop. I'm sort of stunned, but pretend everything is cool. I walk her to her car and get kiss attacked. She had tensed, firm lips and was licking my teeth. For some reason, I thought it would be smart to friend her on Facebook after that. She had a Facebook page for Jimmy the Chinchilla, who had more friends than I did. A few months later, the chinchilla died, and the Facebook page was now a memorial page with a ton of comments. I liked one of her status updates, and she called me crying. I unfriended her immediately, but Jimmy and I are still friends.
Up, dude! Legends.